Wait.
Hey guys, welcome back to the third episode. We actually figured out a name, and it's called the A&E Show.
A&E show.
Finally, took us a while, but we actually agreed on something.
Yes.
But yeah, this episode is more about sports related, soccer. Probably we're gonna hit on fuck off if we can, but mostly about soccer. I really had grew up to it throughout my whole entire life, and still now it's still a part of with me. Um, and like I'm an AC Milan fan, which they play in Italy. I am a New York City FC fan. They play in Yankee Stadium, which I know they're trying to get into the Hudson Yard, so that's going to be exciting when they get an actual stadium just for soccer. Um, and like watching the Gold Cup this summer with America, watching the Euros qualifiers, with Italy playing, and as well as just just trying to keep up with the current news up to date. So that's what we're trying to hit. Um, and yeah, so that's about anything with that. So I always feel like one thing I always want to get into is the American soccer about MOS. So like MOS is just like the top tier soccer in America. But they have one thing: you come in last place, you don't go to Division Two. You stay, and you guys kind of get rewarded in the sense of you get the first round pick of next year's draft, which to me makes no sense because you go around the world, they all do this promotion, regulation, and you get demoted if you do poorly, which should be. But like I feel like here in America doesn't have that money structure. I think that the fan base is just not there. That's why they're trying to keep it so long.
I
Um,
wanna I wanna interject. I'm sorry, I know you're on a roll, but you said MOS. You come in last. You don't go to Division Two, but you get the best picks of next year's draft, or you get the first picks.
mhm.
Okay,
So you get
but
so like how it is like make believe there's 20 teams in the league, right? So out of 20 rounds or like the first round there's 20 picks. You get the number one player if you come in last. Granted, no one wants to come in last.
right,
They
yeah,
they don't fight for last for the pick, but it's not like oh I feel like oh we came in last great okay whatever next year we'll do better because we're gonna draft this one player or they'll use it as a bargaining chip.
well, isn't that
So
because, like, well, they want. This is how I feel like the reasoning behind like losers get first pick is they want to keep that team included in the tournament. They want to keep that team included in the world of sports, right? Because if they're always shitty and they always have shitty players, then they're always going to be the loser, and it's not. Not only is it not exciting anymore, right? Because there's no upsets, right? There's no like, oh, the last teams are like this team has been losing for 10 years, like just started getting good and like turn things around with like a new coach or new players, whatever. But also, good teams and good coaches realize that it's not like you can't win with a star player, at least in soccer. I mean, I feel is that not the case? Like, isn't it a team
no,
thing? Like,
it's a team sport.
uh
Can
huh.
one player make a factor? Of course,
Oh, of course.
but it's a team sport. You're only good as your weakest player. If the weakest player sucks, you suck.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, because
Because
you're only as
they're
strong
gonna
as your weakest link, and they're
yeah,
gonna exploit your weakest player, right?
yeah.
If they're a
If
good
they're
team.
gonna yeah, if they know who's the weakest player and they
Hmm.
attack it and they become pretty good at it,
Right.
why not?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of
Like
course, as long as it's within the rules of the game. Yeah.
but like I feel like every
Um.
year, if you have like every year, make believe you come in last place, right? Last like whatever. This year you come in last. Next year, okay, whatever we did last year, we shouldn't be doing. Let's
Right.
change it up.
Fix
And
it.
that's just like the like debate like the easiest terms are just basically saying that. Okay, what do we need to change? Do we need to change management? Do we need to change like the GM or like do we need to buy new people or sell new people? Or do we need to change the coach? Maybe the coaching style just does not match the league. Um, and that's like the main thing. Like, yeah, like
You think that the teams should look at places other than, well, they lost, so they get the best player, and that way it'll kind of like even out, you know.
And I feel like when you get demoted, it gives you more of an incentive because when you get back, you get money, of course. Two, you get like more people coming in, but then also you know what you need to do to, okay, how can we avoid this besides getting gifted? Like, okay, no, you change everyone, or you try to keep everyone, because I know a lot of people will be like, okay, I'm leaving since we're in Division 2. I want to play top quality soccer, so I want to leave, or you're gonna pay me a little bit extra because I'm not playing in top tier.
Right.
That's why like a lot of these people will move to like countries like China or Saudi Arabia, because the level of soccer is not there, or like not
But
correct
they get
me,
paid more?
but they'll ask for a lot of money. A lot of people will ask for like 10 mil contracts or even more than that, just because they're in China and they can pay because the market's there to like advertise it. They're like, oh, we got a star
Well, because
player.
those countries need those star players.
Exactly. And then like in the beginning, like 5 years ago, like people would say like, oh, MLS, it's you retire there if you're a big star. Like, and I got mad because it's just like I didn't want that to be such a known fact about it, because it is. Like you see Zlatan Ibrahimovic, David Villa, they all came past their prime. People are like, oh, I would like to retire in MLS because a nice little paycheck, but also it's a smaller top tier league. It's not even
So
like a top tier.
it's a decent level division, and also the pay is like not bad.
Yeah, if you want to compare it to European standards.
Well, of course. I mean, Europe is.
You have the best.
Look,
have the
I know
best
nothing,
leagues.
but Europe has obviously long time been like the best divisions and the most high paid players, right?
You have.
I mean, you got like
playing from
England, France,
yeah.
Germany, like
Italy. Like you have teams that playing from the 1800s.
Yeah. So obviously,
Early
there's a lot of money and
1900s.
support behind that.
Yeah.
Can I get back to a point that you had brought up? You said that like if you're a shitty team and then you start getting better, there's more money that comes in to support the team. I'm curious. I'm interested in the structure of how that works. Like, where's that money coming from? Like, if a team is getting better and better, of course that means more fans are going to come see them, right? So, is that fan ticket money what's going into them, or is it government support? Is it like ad, like, you know, like a lot of companies sponsor teams and shit? Like, where does that money all come from?
So it's all depends. Like one is fans. So more fans are going to come in. More, they're going to buy more jerseys. They're going to come to the games, tickets. So you have that one route right there. Two, sponsorship. Like you go, you get promoted. You go from like mid-tier jersey brands that like not just say, but like, for sake, like let's just compare like Micron. So Micron is a jersey company in Italy that now they're trying to support some bigger teams, but they have been supporting like low tier teams. So you go from that and they pay you, let's just say 1 million a year, right? You get promoted to a new year. Let's just say that contract expires. Adidas wants to start manufacturing your jerseys, and there's like, okay, we'll give you five mil a year. That's a big increase. That's a 4 mil increase a year that you get just for what? Changing the type of jerseys that you're going to be receiving.
Well, the thing is, I feel like fans are like, if you're a diehard fan of a team and that team is putting out jerseys that are created by Adidas, like people see the brand name of Adidas and they're like, okay, I don't care how much money, like, I'll pay $200 for this fucking jersey, you know?
Of course.
That's because, you know, the content that they're creating, and in a sense, the content is like star players, exciting games, like, you know, entertainment.
So like that's what. Okay. So that's like where I was going. Like the financials probably not there. That's why they don't want to do it. Like in America, there's over 100 teams in the country in different divisions, and I'm not just saying like it's just like in the MLS. So that's like the top tier. Then you have the USL, which is like the United Soccer League. That they have Championship 1 and 2, and I think they're trying to create 3 as well. And then there's other leagues. They have other smaller leagues that are semi-pro, amateur, or like professional, but like not paid professional. So like with all these different like leagues that are happening, like I'm trying to say, like,
How do people like play semi-pro or professional and it's not paid?
Well, it depends on the
I feel like
contract.
if you're not getting paid, you're an amateur, no?
Yeah, but like semi-pro, like you get paid, but it's not like crazy amount. Like you still need another job.
Yeah, you need another job. Okay, so you're getting paid like maybe 20,000 a year. Not
Yeah,
even?
let's just say average.
Right.
Maybe 30K, maybe 40K. Like maybe not so much 40, but 30. Let's just go 30 on the safe bet, but it could be about 20. Or I know like in amateurs, like you get paid, but like you might get like legitimate like gas money,
Right.
like $100 a game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they assume that like if you're playing an amateur, then you're not aiming for the tippy top of the hierarchy of soccer. Like
Yeah.
you have something else that you're doing, but you know that soccer is like a big part of your life, and you want to play it for money at least a little bit. So okay.
So like with the MLS, it's just like I feel like they need to have that because it will create more competition. Like people will actually try harder. So like I don't want to get regulated. If I get demoted, like why would I want to go down to Division 2? I want to stay top. I could bring in more people. I could attract more players and fans if I'm in the top tier. And I feel like the quality of soccer would be there. That's just my take on it.
For MLS.
Yeah, for American soccer, just to go into that promotion and demotion route.
Well, see, like because it has that image of like this is the place you go to retire because it's like less, as it's not as high a tier as like Europe, right? Obviously, a lot of people are gonna assume that that's what it is.
Yes, but now, but like, I'm just gonna cut you off here because in recent years, like let's just say less than 5 years, now they're actually producing young talent. Tyler Adam from what's it called? Red Bulls. He's 18 years old, plays for the U.S. national team. Started in the Red Bulls last year. Now he's in Germany, playing in the top flight, and he's starting. There's Josh Sheridan, another one. He's 17, plays in Wolfsburg. No, Brenham, top tier in Germany. Then you have others like Bradley. He moved out, but like he's a lot older.
No. Hang on, we gotta pause this. I'll cut this out of the podcast. Go back to Joshua Brenham or whatever once we get back. Sorry, some asshole fucking rang my doorbell.
By accident?
Delivery guy. No. Like he delivered this thing and like I don't need it. Like I literally it's a membership for like a postal service in Japan, and I expressly stated on the site like I don't want a membership, so don't send me this shit, and they sent it anyway. So.
Okay.
Fucking stupid.
So let's go back.
So, yeah. I mean, I'm still recording. I'm gonna cut it.
Yeah.
Fine. And then you were talking about Joshua playing.
Sargent. Joshua Sargent playing in Werder Bremen, plays top tier soccer in Germany. That's another one. He's 19 years old, U.S. national. Now he's in Germany, and now these young. Now either there's another one, Stefan, a U.S. goalie that plays for Columbus Crew, got signed to go into Manchester City, and they already have a top goalie. This is going to be another backup, but it's a product in USA. Feel like now it's not a retirement; it's becoming now a feeder system to develop. It's like a developmental. Now I can't even say this word now. Development league now.
Right. Okay.
And
developmental.
Yeah. So with this whole situation, you have these youngsters starting out this league, starting almost every single game. Even like the team that I've been watching, New York FC, there's 2 more youngsters that are playing. James Sands, he's 16, he's starting games. How much longer that he's going to play in this league before someone picks him up?
Right.
Like, it's only time that people are going to start realizing American soccer is something to watch, be exciting, and also trying to buy people from these leagues. Or people are like just want to restart their career and make a name out of themselves, which can happen.
I think, like, I want to ask you a question. What, like, and obviously, you know more than I do, and I'm not assuming that you're an expert, but because all of these young players are going to Europe, or specifically Germany in this case, or Manchester City, they're all going to the European, world to hone their skills, right? They've learned from when they were young, and of course that's the place you want to be, right? Because like that's where you're going to be the most challenged, and that's where all the good players are, and even the good, the good coaches. So, like, what happens if, like, do you think the U.S. soccer industry, I guess if you want to call it that, is just going to be that developmental ground, or will those players play in Europe for a couple of years, get their chops, right, play well, and then come back to the U.S.? Like, what's the incentive for them to leave those European teams and come back instead of like, okay, well, I was raised up in the U.S. by U.S. coaches, by U.S. Infrastructure, and then they end up playing for Europe? Or do you think it'll be the other way around, where like people will see all of these players coming out of America and they'll be like, okay, America's doing something different, so we should start sending our young players to America? Like, I feel like that might not happen because Europe is the top ground and they're not, going to send their players to America to train.
No, like, so Manchester City and New York FC are partners. There's an affiliate. They sent Manchester City will send some youth players to America to start playing. Because they're probably not good enough in their youth academy, but like they're good and they like the coach likes them. It's like, hey, go to America. Let's see how you actually develop there. Yeah. For example, there's this one player, Jack Harrison. He played in American college, but he was British. Played there for 2 years, did well, got brought up to the under-23 English national team. Man City bought him because he was on their affiliate team, and then they loaned him out to bigger, smaller teams in England, but still well known because of the history. And I feel like America doesn't have that history yet on being the best. Like, you think about Europe, you think about champion leagues. People have won it, like AC Milan, like won it 7 times over the course of just over a century. It's over 50, like not even 50 years, like almost a century. They won it 7 times, and there's only one team that has more Champions League than Milan, and that's Real Madrid, and they have over 13. And I could be wrong, but yeah, like they have a significant amount more than a good amount than AC Milan. And like, it's just a history. When you think about like Europe, you think about the history, you think about the leagues, because like all these top players around the world are in Europe. Messi, he's Argentinian, plays in Barcelona, which is in Spain. You got Ronaldo, plays in now Juventus, but he used to play in Real Madrid and Manchester United. So like a lot of people go to Europe for one, want to play in a prestigious club. They want to put their stuff on top of, like, for the next level. 2, better contract, more money. You get more money, better endorsements, and everything comes later on with that. And the quality of life is just, America is nice to live in. Don't get me wrong. But like you get, like, just say $50K you're making in America. You go to overseas in Europe, you're making close to, let's just say, $850 a year.
$850,000 a year.
Yeah, that's a big jump that you're making, and yeah, the only thing is like a different world, different country, different language, but that's all stuff that you can learn.
And it's not like that's not, if you're a soccer player, like the language isn't really an issue. I feel like the only time it would be an issue is if you need to communicate to your teammates. But there is a limited vocabulary and a limited amount of things that you need to be able to express in soccer. So like you don't need to talk about rocket science in a fucking foreign language. So
Yes.
that's not like a huge barrier. I feel.
Yeah, but like I play with people. I used to play like with people like that have different languages.
Mm.
Soccer is like it can be a universal language to communicate. You don't even have to speak to one another. You could point where you're going and like hey, basically telling that guy, hey, I want that ball in front of me. And you point the direction, and they'll do it. And then if they look up, because technically you have to look up when you're having.
Right, you're not supposed to look at the ball. You're not supposed to look at the ball. You're supposed to be so good at the point where like your feet are one with the ball.
Exactly. So like,
I've never gotten to that point.
And it's like you get to that point and you're looking at it, it's like, oh, I see you. Oh, you want fair? Okay, no problem. And you're thinking in a different language. Or you're talking, it's like, okay, perfect, but everyone knows soccer and what you need to do.
Right. Because they're all like at the professional level, so everybody knows like the best ways to communicate that, even in the body.
Yeah. So like with America coming on the rise, it's like like I've been watching like ever since New York FC has started a couple of years back. Kind of been watching them, and like the new season kicked off, and the first like six, 7 games they're doing all right, but then the last 2 games that they played, they actually won both games, and they got this new player Heber from this Croatian team. He's Brazilian, and he's like in his like, let's just say in his prime age, like 28, 27, like in that range, and he's providing the assistance that they need in the final thirds, and that's what one of the key opponent of New York FC was missing. It was that top forward that could hold the ball and distribute the ball inside the final third. Now they won the last 2 games, and they're actually proven and like keeping these nice defensive shape that they're not getting scored on so much. And while they're doing that, they're just proving that they're not a team to be messed around with, like just toss around. Like, so basically, that was like what I was saying earlier. Like they both, like their defense, they beat DC United and also Chicago Fire, both with like DC was 2-0 and Chicago was 1-0. Looked somewhat low scoring games, but they kept them not to score. Their defense is there. Like in MLS, there's sometimes like the teams just are sleeping and they kind of like just fall asleep and they get let up 3 or 5 goals or 4, depending on like the team's opponent.
But I like that you say it's like sleeping, like their eyes are closed, they're just like whatever.
Not physically sleeping. It's just like they get lazy and they make these simple mistakes that the discipline is just not there.
Right. Because when you're on the field, like that's it. Like everything else out of your mind. It's the game. Yeah.
But like now I feel like that now they're actually starting like, okay, this is what we need to do in defense. This is what now we need to do in offense. And they're just clicking. Now everything is coming along, passing the final thirds, connecting those final passes, and making those killer passes to the next player, and they're scoring. And just making it easier for their teammates. And that's the whole point of the game. It's when you make it easy and you make it fun, everything's just going to come along.
And everybody connects because everybody feels like they're contributing not only to the team's win, but like, you get excited about it. Of course. Yeah. You said Heber from the Croatian team? He's Brazilian.
Yeah, Heber.
He's the one who's making those connections, or
he's helping a lot. He's a forward, yeah.
Okay.
They bought him for $8 million from HNK Rijeka. 2.5. Sorry, I got that mixed up because they bought this Romanian guy Mitru from this Romanian team. They bought him for $8 million, but they bought Heber from Rijeka 2.5 million. They had to spend a little bit. Normally, you don't spend much in USA and MLS just because it's just you trade picks or you trade players, and that's what happens. But like now with this player coming in, Heber, he scored. He makes an assist. It's something that legitimate. That's what they need to do now. And it's just a great thing when you have that. Like when you're having that one player that's just making an impact, you'd be like, okay, that's the money well spent. Like, okay, now let's just start shopping in that region of whatever. Now I feel like they're gonna start trying to shop in the Eastern European just because
Mm,
they can find people just like that are good, they are fast, and they could come in. And that's also what they really, really need. And then with all these, so like the American soccer is all starting up. Now they're all gearing up for the whole Gold Cup coming up in the summertime that happens every
right.
2 years. Um, and like you have your powerhouse already, and it's Mexico, USA, and then you could go with Costa Rica because like they have some players that play in the top tier teams in Europe, like Costa Rican goalie Kevin Navas. He plays for Real Madrid, and
Mm,
he got brought up after the World Cup in 2010. And he just had a fantastic tournament. Um, so when he was like there, now you have this like small tournament that people are going to be watching for scouting purposes. They want to
mm.
find these people like just lower in the team, and they just be like, okay, we want him. How much he cost? Oh, and then these European teams can just be like, oh, this is not much. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
uh,
What would you think it would take? Oh, well, actually, I have two things. One first. You said I keep going back to Heber, but you said he distributes the ball in the final third. What's the final third?
so the final third is basically the opposite goal. So you
Okay.
could, so like the first, so you want to break up the field. There's
So like
in
the final third of
thirds.
the field.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like when you're
Alright.
attacking the net, like where you're trying to score on, that is the final third. So it's
Okay.
probably by like 25, 30 yards. If it's broken up about 90 yards, so the 30 yards and to the goal. That's the final third that you are trying to attack. Basically, the majority of possession that you're trying to hold into the penalty box, the 18-yard box. If you're trying to distribute and pass and make chances for your team, you are an effective player. Um,
Passes
and
within the final third.
yes, uh, just want to make a correction before what I said about Kevin Navas in 2010. It was actually 2014.
Okay.
I made that mistake. I'm sorry about that, guys.
Hey, at least you caught
Um,
it. No, that's what matters.
um, so yeah, but going back to the Gold Cup, it's another region tournament in the CONCACAF in Central America, North America, and the Caribbeans are playing.
Mm, okay.
And
Wait, so South America's not in.
no, they're in their own
I
region.
guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, you also have like so you have a couple of countries in the CONCACAF, but they're not related to the South America, the CONMEBOL. It's Guyana, Suriname, and French Guyana, and those three countries are technically on the continent of South America, but they're not related to because they associate more with the Caribbeans and
Yeah,
Commonwealth
it
because
feels
of
it feels more Central American. Like
yeah
I don't know. It feels
they more relate to themselves as Caribbeans and also the Commonwealth
Mhm.
when England like
Uh,
the Parliament and all that stuff.
huh. I always thought like down there was all Spain and Portugal.
Not
It's not.
Guyana's. Well, Suriname was more Dutch,
Okay, okay.
but
Well, we can go into history if we want, but today's about soccer. So
yeah.
there was one more thing,
Ooh,
and this is not going into the Gold Cup. So if you want to save it for later and first go through the Gold Cup, I'm all for it. But what I wanted to ask is, what do you feel it would take to start developing more excitement about soccer in America, right? So like, does it take getting more soccer teams in early players like middle school, high school, all across the country, or like what do you think is going to be the magic bullet? Or if there's no magic bullet, then what are the factors that you think would turn things around?
I feel like if everyone knows this magic bullet, like that whole 100% serum is going to work, everyone would be doing it by now. Like everyone.
Right. Yeah.
Um, People like to do grassroots, and that's the best. So grassroots, what it is basically working from the ground up, from youth players to up. So
Mm,
it's basically just having the best quality coaches to train these kids when they're 7 years old,
mm,
seven, and just teach them touch, touching the ball like 200 a day, 100 a day. Just basically constantly get that motion with the ball, become familiar how the ball moves. You hit it to the left, how the ball rolls, like basically every single dynamic with the ball that you are doing. That's what you'll be doing from age 5 to all the way to high school. And just basically having academies that basically soccer players are basically playing almost every day of their life until they make their decision if they want to go pro or
they get
want,
injured and
they get injured, or soccer's not for them.
The sport for them, right? Yeah, because there are athletes who do multiple sports, and like you want to focus on one or two at some point. So
I know like people will go to college and they play 3 sports still, and then they decide which one gives them the best offer.
Right.
That also happens as well. But yeah, before I just get into diving more, I think it's more grassroots, like focus on the youth. Because you focus on the youth.
Because if you focus on the youth, you build better players, you create a more exciting soccer game.
Yes.
Okay,
and when they're young, they will put more energy onto the field because they want to prove themselves. They got something to prove,
especially to their coaches.
Exactly.
I mean, obviously in the U.S., like it's all American football, and like I know baseball is kind of like losing its spark. I feel like there's no like Derek Jeters or A-Rods anymore, so like that's just a whole different thing. Everyone loves NFL. Everyone loves NFL. How do you do you get people interested in soccer just by having more star players? Like, do you think that's enough? Just having a more exciting soccer game, or like these people aren't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be a quick fix. Get more star players into it, or.
But you also need ways to promote like the games themselves to people who watch sports, right? You say like, hey, maybe you never watched soccer before. Watch this game or like 2 games, or like if you maybe have an advertisement, right? Or I don't know.
The problem with soccer, not a lot of people like it because it's a low scoring game. It's hard to score a goal when it's on the opposite field. While it's when you score a touchdown, it's 6 points plus an extra point, so you're up by 7. So you have some of these games are in the 40s, in the 30s. Well, soccer, the highest goal scored, to my knowledge, is about 32-0, and it's Australia against this like small freaking island.
Right.
That.
Do you think it's maybe like Americans just like to take breaks while they watch the game? Because like the players are taking breaks every like 15 seconds, right?
Well, yeah, but they also go on 100% constantly. Like soccer, it's a fluid 45 minutes that you are playing. That is either that you're in a constant motion, like you don't see much people stand in one place besides the goalie.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
or if you're forward, like you're jogging or you're walking around trying to find the space. Right. In between players, or when you don't have the ball, it's a lot to consider that people don't realize.
So maybe it's too complicated for American people.
I don't think that's the case. I just think that like it's just not attracted to the American eye. I feel like they want the whole 15 seconds every explosion. They want to see that. But they don't want to see a 30-yard sprint going to the ball on a counter. I think that if it was like constantly like that, I think soccer would be more attractive in America. But it's not like that. You have to be patient.
Well, because soccer, you have to ration your energy, right? You can't like be in a full sprint.
It's called a beautiful game for a reason. It's not It's not like 15 seconds and that's it.
So it's more. It's more complex than
like
you might think. Yeah,
it's a simple game to play. It's very simple to play. It's just to actually to perform in the top level. It's very complex to score because the opponent's just as good as you are. You need to be.
Right.
You have to be smart and patient about it when you attack.
I know. We keep pulling away from Gold Cup, but like I'm really interested in hearing about this actually. Do you think players who are trained in high elevations, like, definitely have a definitive advantage over players who are playing at like sea level, or?
Yes.
Because they don't have the oxygen capacity as high altitude players would.
There's a country in South America, Bolivia. Their stadium that they play in, it's in such high altitude that I have to actually look that
Olympus. It's in the clouds.
Yeah, it's is just so high that they verse like big teams like Argentina and Brazil, and they give them problems just because.
Because they tire them out. Right?
Yeah, they tire them out,
Okay.
and they're not. It's just hard to verse them. Here we go. The altitude that I just found, like the Stadio Hernando Siles, it's the altitude is 3,637 meters, which is about almost 12,000 feet above sea level, and it's making the number one highest football stadium in the world.
You said 3,000 what?
637 meters above sea level, which is just roughly about 12,000 feet above sea levels. Like that's just crazy to think about, trying to play that in altitude. Well, you play close to sea level, and then you go there for a game. You play there for 90 minutes. You have to train for that in order to just be a part. Like you see these play days, you train, they play there. Like that's why they could just run for days.
Right, yeah. I was thinking about that too, because like I recently listened to a podcast, and they were talking about high altitude runners, you know, who train in high altitude places, and then they just like, you know, rest in a low altitude place, or they perform, you know, in the sport at a low altitude, and like they just have crazy oxygen capacity, right? Or their red blood cells are just able to absorb oxygen more efficiently.
Yep.
So that's always an interesting factor I wanted about. All right. Cool.
So before, let's get back where we were on the Gold Cup. So like I said earlier, Mexico and USA is going to be the favorite. Costa Rica they are co-hosting it, and I also think they could pull a threat. It's just really interesting because you have Trinidad and Tobago in it as well, and they knocked out USA in order to make it into the World Cup, the last World Cup, and I would love to see that happen again, because I want to see if the Americans can have that revenge game and actually beat them.
You want to see Trinidad and Tobago beat US to?
No, I want USA. I want USA and Trinidad and Tobago just to verse in a match, because I want USA to get revenge because they got knocked out. Like, they shouldn't be in that situation to be like, okay, we need to beat this one team and hope and pray that we could get in. And they didn't even win it. Like, they lost 2-0 at Trinidad and Tobago that they shouldn't have.
But like, Trinidad and Tobago is one team? Not Trinidad?
It's Trinidad and Tobago. It's two islands made into a country. It's just that America, it was the Americans was the favorite. They should have won, but what's it called? It's just they should have won, but they didn't. And they actually have in this tournament. They have a couple. There's a couple actually are the first time playing into the Gold Cup, because you have to qualify for this Gold Cup. And Bermuda is one of them. Is a small island. They actually they qualified into the play in the World Cup, and Guyana. So those two are like, this is the first time. So I actually want to see how they're gonna go in this tournament.
And when is this qualifying game happening? This is the Gold Cup.
So this is the qualifiers to go into the Gold Cup already happened, but Gold Cup starts June 15th.
No, but I'm asking, is the Gold Cup itself, like games within the Gold Cup itself, are those also qualifiers for the World Cup, or are those qualifier games a different thing?
Yeah, different thing. Okay. Gold Cup is you qualify for this time. You're qualifying for the Gold Cup. After the Gold Cup is over, they'll have another qualification to qualify for the World Cup.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So the Gold Cup and World Cup are just not connected. Yeah. It's like
Gold Cup
whatever the results of the Gold Cup are, doesn't matter. World Cup qualifiers come once the World Cup is coming up.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. They had like a minor tournament before the World Cup, and that's like if you won the Gold Cup, you go into this minor tournament. It's like a pre-World Cup tournament. It's like basically every region championship, like every continent champion will go against one another. So there's one from the CONCACAF, one from the CONMEBOL, one from the Euro Cup, one from the Asian Cup, one from the African Cup of Nations. There's one from the Oceanic.
all these leagues have their own mini tournaments, and then whoever's qualifying for World Cup get to go to the World Cup, and then
Yeah. Just like there's a lot of tournament, and they're trying to actually expand that the FIFA organization to a lot more, and they're not giving a lot of details just yet. But
yeah, because those fuckers want their money, yo. They want more fans, more money.
So like during that time, like you have the World Cup right now. Like also they're doing the qualifiers for the European Cup in 2020, and like I love watching Italy play, and they didn't qualify of the World Cup last time. Now they basically changed everyone they changed the whole management, like not even like just like the GM, like the president, the director, vice president, everyone, just clean house to even the coach. Now like they're in the group with they're qualifying around. They're in the group with Greece, Bosnia, Finland, Armenia, and Liechtenstein. And if
I don't know the last one.
Liechtenstein is a legitimate dot on the European map.
Okay.
And it is a minor team. Bosnia has a couple of good players that play in top tier teams like Pjanic, Zeko. They all play in Serie A, like Juventus and Roma, respectively. Greece has a couple of good players as well, and of course Italy. The rest are minor teams that, if they can win, if they beat Italy or they drew against Italy, it's a shock.
So that's right. That's the local championship in Europe to qualify for going to the World Cup.
No, this is the qualifying into the European Cup.
So okay.
Yeah, so there's like just think about it. World Cup to the World Cup, the European and the Gold Cup are like regionals, like continental tournaments that they do just for more international play, and they've just have been there for a long time.
Mm-hmm. So have there been years where like there's been an upset where like Italy just didn't even qualify into the Euro Cup, and therefore, wait, if you don't qualify for the Euro Cup, does that mean you can't go to the qualifiers for the World Cup?
No. So they have two different qualifiers, one for the World Cup, one for the World Cup, one for the European Cup. If you can't qualify, if you get eliminated from the qualifiers to go into the European Cup, next time you could go into the qualifier for the World Cup, but doesn't matter. You still go into qualifiers.
Okay, but then how?
You just have to do the qualifier again.
How does FIFA determine who is allowed to participate in the qualifiers for the World Cup? Is it every country gets?
Yeah, every country. Qualifiers? Yeah, okay. Everyone can be in the qualifiers, and then it could be top one, and then the top two can have playoffs, or number one, number two on each group. They'll have a group stage. Top two will go qualifies to the final tournament, either the World Cup or the Euros.
I'm gonna sound like a total moron because I know nothing about sports, but I don't care. What does the term playoff itself actually mean?
Knockout round. It could be either a two-legged game or one-legged game. Basically, it's you lose, you go home. There won't be another game after that.
That's two-legged?
That's if it's a single leg elimination. Oh. Two-legged means a home and away. You verse them twice. You verse them at your home, and then you go to their stadium and you verse them.
Oh, okay. And if it ends up even, then you play another game, or
you go to penalty shootout.
Oh, okay, penalty shootout.
Or if they do away goals, which that can get a little bit complicated. It means basically if it's one, let's just say if I'm versing you. Mm-hmm. We drew 1-1, right? And you were away. You scored 1-1, and then
I win the first game.
No, we tied 1-1.
We tied 1-1. Okay.
And you were away, and you scored that one goal.
Okay.
Then we go, and then I go to you second leg, and we draw again, and it was 0-0. You would go on because that away goal helps you, because it's harder to score away than it is at home. Because you have your fans. That's how they kind of use that in example. It's like you have your fans cheering you on.
It's an indirect effect, and it's kind of immeasurable, but I think it definitely does have an effect on the player's performance, of course.
So I have been hearing rumors that they're trying to take that away because it's nonsense. But
doesn't seem fair, right?
It doesn't seem fair, but it does seem fair. I think it's there for a good reason, but I can talk about that all the time. But
so wait, what if? Oh, okay, yeah, it's only if you tie.
Yeah.
Right.
But then if we both tied 1-1 on both legs, we will have to go to penalty shootouts.
Right, because nobody has more away goals than the other team. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah.
See, I didn't know about all this stuff, right? Like, and I'm actually glad we're doing the podcast because I could have asked you about this before, but it would have just been like us having a conversation about.
Yeah, and for you, it'd be out of the blue to ask me something like that.
Yeah, true, absolutely. You'd be confused. You'd be like, Evan, you quit soccer in middle school. Why the hell are you asking me about it now?
Like, I know a lot of people just get into soccer just because of college, because they're their friends and whatever. But yeah, like.
Okay, cool. So now we've moved from Gold Cup, Euro Cup, World Cup, how they all work. Like
how they all interplay. Yeah. So like right now, it's like the Continental Cups and like the European Cup. That's in 2020. So we still have until next summer. So we have the Disc Gold Cup coming this summer, which I'm excited to watch America and these like small tiered names playing. And then as well as like watching the qualifiers in the summer and for the European Cup. So I'm really excited for like how many soccer's coming, and then the season for New York FC and as well as AC Milan. It's getting back into playing. They're wrapping up their season. They're ending soon. I think there's 5 games left now, and going like with Milan's like my favorite team, and since March 17th they had been out of 8 matches. Mm-hmm. They only got 5 points and they dropped so many points. Luckily they're still in 4th place, but they're in this bad funk that I am not liking because they just cannot put the ball in the net.
Which team is this?
AC Milan, like my favorite team that I've been following ever since I was little.
We all know. Why has it been that you and your brother have different favorite teams?
Just
what is that about?
I don't know. I just didn't. When I was younger, I just didn't want to follow what my brother liked.
I can understand that.
Brother too. It was just more of the fact that like kind of like sending the middle finger to him is like, haha, I don't care about you. But it's like going back to like the whole AC Milan thing is just now they have 5 more games left, and these are all must-win games.
Must-win games, okay.
Because if not, they can't qualify to the Champions League, and if they don't qualify for this Champions League, the money's not there. And Milan has been kind of like cited by the UEFA with financial fair play, that they kind of put that into place that like teams cannot just buy everyone, and you just can't just spend like $400 million on players
to get like a good player, and then like fuck coaching. Like you have good players, so
yeah.
Well, I mean, of course they wouldn't say fuck coaching. Like I mean, it's a top tier team, but
like not even just like mess up coaches. They want other teams to make a difference. Like they want like these smaller teams from like from Scotland or Romania or whatever to make a difference in Champions League. They want to start seeing more upsets because people like seeing upsets.
Of course, yeah, it makes the game more exciting. And like, you know what's interesting? And I want to get into this talk with you later, not necessarily on the podcast because it's kind of boring. I don't know. I think it's cool, but we'll get to that. You said that AC Milan now has 5 games left and they have to win them. This is for the Champions League. How is this Champions League related to the Euro Cup, if at all?
It's not. It's a different spectrum. So now AC Milan, it's a club. Mm-hmm. So Champions League, it's for club. It's the top clubs around Europe to play into this tournament, while the European Cup is the top countries play into that tournament. So you have your national teams for the European Cup, while Champions League is the top club teams. So like AC Milan can
belong to like whatever country.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you have like AC. So basically, the Tournament of Champions League, it's It's like the top tier of Italy, the top teams in Italy, top team in England, top tier in Germany, and all this stuff basically combined into one tournament. Yes, and you go on.
So, do clubs ever move countries? Because I know teams in the U.S., like for basketball and like football and baseball, they kind of move sometimes, right?
Cities. So like you could move within the city, but like I haven't seen a team like, let's just say, AC Milan moving from AC Milan to another country.
It might be because they have so much history. Like, there's no reason to.
Yeah, I don't think they need to. Like, I know they build new stadiums, but like they're trying to build a new stadium legitimate next door to the old stadium because just because of like the stadium's so big that it's so hard to fill it up. It's like over 80,000 seats.
One?
The San Siro, so San Siro is the home stadium from AC Milan. Okay. They have 80,000 seats that they have, and it's kind of so like what now a lot of countries are not a lot of countries, a lot of teams what they're doing is they're trying to downside their stadium but make it look so nice. So when you're watching this game on TV, what do you like to see? A stadium that is jam-packed.
Jam-packed, full stadium, yeah.
Full stadium, or the stadium is this big, beautiful stadium, but only half of them there.
Right, yeah.
Of
course.
So,
so you would say that they, like, when they first made these stadiums, they overestimated how many people they thought were going to come play or come watch? Or
no, just the sheer amount of people will just watch this stuff. Right. Just like, so like when you have like the World Cup, or when there's a Milan Inter, there's a derby. So when derby is basically it's two teams playing the same city. So it's Inter Milan versus AC Milan, and that's a derby. They can pack house just from that game alone.
Right, because both teams have like plenty of fans who
in the same city, and they play in the same city, or like even like other like big rivalry matches like Milan Juve. That's a big rivalry match. They could pack house. And then, or it's like Italy plays their one game, which they have, and they have done it. They could pack house real quick just because that's a whole. Now you have the whole country going to that one.
Right. Yeah. If there's a home game for the Italian team in the World Cup, then like, yeah. So like so the playoffs themselves for the World Cup are where like everybody talks about the World Cup being hosted, right? So like South Africa when it was the World Cup, is that the case, or is everybody, even the qualifying round, not the qualifying rounds, even the first part of the World Cup, everybody's playing in the same
country?
Yes. They're all playing in the same stadium.
No, same country. So like when you have a World Cup, I think you have to have a certain amount of stadiums. I think at least 8, or a little more than that. I think you need at least 8. Let's just say 8, but I think it's a little bit more than that. To be like actually to have all these people come, because you gotta think about it. You're inviting 64 countries into that one country, or 32 countries into one country. Basically, like you have 31 country going into Brazil, or 31 country going to South Africa. You have to have all these players, coaches, staff, and like journalists. Like you have to hold them.
You got to pay for a lot of that.
Yeah, you have to renovate everything.
This is like a little bit of an aside. Like, you know, Tokyo's having the Olympics in a year, and I'm gonna hate that shit because it's gonna be so crowded. Whatever. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not super excited about it. But are you thinking about coming here
for the Olympics? For the Olympics?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When is it?
It depends. Like, I might not be here, and like it might not even be a thing. But like, I think it's the summer next year.
2020, right?
Yeah.
I would actually consider it. Yeah.
Okay. And we can talk more about that later. I had one other thing that I wanted to talk about. God damn it! I just talked about that thing, so now I lost.
But that's fine. Like going back to AC Milan, it's like so like they're not versing like big teams. They're versing like mid-tier teams. But like since the quality of soccer that AC Milan's playing, I'm just nervous about it because they need to wake up. And they need to wake up quick, because if not, they'll drop serious points, because now it's either that they come in 4th place or they come in 7th, just because they drop so many points and the other teams are winning their matches. So now it's like a 1.2 point match that if they lose next game or so, they can drop series a lot of places.
Right, and if they keep losing, like it becomes a trend, and a lot of people think like, "Oh man, this team's not good." Where perception changes. Okay. Yeah, I think I don't know. Like I know you could talk about this for hours, and I've actually learned a lot about soccer within like this hour that we've talked. But there's anything else you want to cover?
No, I just keep on going. But no, like I think next week, or next week.
Oh,
we could either.
I remember what I wanted to bring up. Is that okay? Can I do that?
No, I guess so.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. You looking at your phone? You fucking asshole. So I'm looking up on Wikipedia right now, right? Locations for World Cup in 2022. It's written here as Qatar.
Yes.
Has that already been decided?
That had been decided, and that was a huge controversy because people were saying that FIFA was like a scam, not scam, a scandal because like Qatar paid the president of FIFA and all that stuff to be like, hey, host it here.
Does Qatar have 8 stadiums? Like, do they have all the
building
stuff that they need?
They're building all this
building
stuff.
8 stadiums at once just so they can fucking qualify.
If you actually click on that list and like that link and look into it, you will actually see all these stadiums are trying to be built.
Right.
And actually, the next World Cup is going to be in North America. It's going to be
Canada,
USA, and Mexico, and that's in 2026. And I'm actually super excited because
it says United States, and that's why I wanted to bring this up because I thought you would be excited about that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and MetLife, the Meadowlands, is going to host the final, I think. And if that's the case, I am super excited for it because that's what really close to where I live, and I can just take the train to go over.
Where is it?
Meadowlands. That's where like the Giants and the Jets plays. New York Jets and New York Giants. Yeah.
Well, dude, like I'll be there around that time, so we should go see some games. I'm down. Like I know I never really went to see games. I saw the Red Bulls game with you, but like I would definitely go with you. So.
The Yankee Stadium. Yeah, there's so many times. When you get here, we'll definitely plan it out. What's it called?
Cool. So do you want to move to football now, or you got something else?
No, soccer. I think soccer pretty much. You could keep on talking about soccer, of course, but I think we could go on to the next. What's it called? For football situation.
Yeah, the next topic, or at least what we're going to talk about mainly for the next episode.
I feel like total football that we could talk about more. It's a growing sport. It started a couple kind of like a decade. In America now, it's becoming more not prevalent, but like I think it's catching. It's like a domino theory. It's like when one falls, another one falls. It's gonna come. You build something, people will follow. Like people are gonna come to this area and play because like people playing soccer, they're not good enough, or they're like, okay, I want to find something more leisurely. They find this sport and they get into it. Since the sport's so new, why not try and see how good you are in something else that really doesn't require the running? You need basically like the easy thing about football is hitting one ball into a hole, and it's a lot harder when you see him and actually trying to read each course, like actually trying to read the course, which I'm actually starting picking up now.
I'd say definitely closer to golf than it is to soccer, but I mean it's the same elements, right? You got to read the wind, you got to have a good form.
But like a lot of these, like soccer players, they could play the new sport, and they wouldn't be that good, but they know the mechanics of hitting a soccer ball.
Yeah.
The only thing is, when you make a pass, you can make a bad pass, but the player can run to the ball. But if you make a bad pass to the hole, you're making a bad pass. That hole is not moving for you because.
Right. Well, luckily you don't have defenders in your face, like putting pressure on you when you're playing football. So like, you have time to hone in and focus on the shot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, it's just like I signed up for the U.S. Open in Florida Memorial Day weekend, the last weekend of May. So I can't wait. I'm trying to train for that. I've been going once a week at least and trying to play as much as I can to like in my backyard or the course or basically a patch of grass and just basically practice on my putting form. Um, it's just a lot of just repetition now at this point. Like it's you don't need different kind of clubs in golf. You need your right, or if you're a righty, your right foot, or your lefty, your left foot. A soccer ball, turfs, and that's it. And you go on, you play, you go on a course, and you just play, and just consistency. You just constantly do that.
Cool.
And
So I mean, we can get into all the mechanics of it and the history of it in the next podcast, and that was just a little bit of a preview of what's to come. So thanks everybody for joining us. We are the A&E Show.
A&E.
I hadn't already realized Angelo in Heaven. That's what it stands for. Very basic, but maybe we'll do some rebranding at another time. And
later on,
if you guys or gals, want to hit us up, have any questions about us or the show, what we're trying to do with it, where we want to take it, you can email us at the A&E Show. The show part is just like no W, SHO. So again, the A&E Show at gmail.com. And just send us any questions that you might have for us there. And Angela, do you have any final remarks that you?
No, just I don't. Not much. It's just thank you for listening. Hopefully, you guys stay tuned for next episode and more to come.
Yeah,
really appreciate it.
And on that note, goodbye, motherfuckers.
Bye,
have a good time. Have a good time.
Have a good time. We'll edit that part.